there, I'm Joey from EDHREC, and I've got some fun news, which some of you may have already noticed actually. EDHREC just got a little bit of a makeover. It's some pretty simple stuff, classic UI upgrade, plus a handy new feature or two that I'd really like to show you how to use to help you improve your deck building. So go ahead and do the whole YouTube thing if you would like to be notified of any other future updates that we release, and please allow me to take you on a brief tour of some cool new EDHREC constructions and how to use them. Before we get to the really neat new filter feature, I'll start with the cool new aesthetic, background art. At the top of the page for each card, there's a tasteful, artistic backsplash of that card's artwork. This isn't just for commanders, but for any card. I personally like it most in dark mode, but then again, I like everything in dark mode, and I know that that's not the default for everybody, but I just wanted to show it off because I think this is really cool. The other simple aesthetic update you may notice is the change on the left nav bar. Where EDHREC used to write out every single card type or category, we've now got symbols representing those things, which will of course reveal the full names and categories when you hover over them. The reason for this change is pretty simple. A slimmer nav bar means we can fit more cards on the screen so that you don't have to scroll quite as much. And it also helps us keep that nav bar when you're using EDHREC on a mobile device too. Oh, and speaking of scrolling, there's a slight change to the card list header now too. As you scroll down a page, this thing here will better help you keep track of which section you're in, which is handy, and which is also a factor that helps us keep consistency between the desktop and mobile experiences as well. Like I said, these are all pretty small things, little quality of life UI upgrades that help improve the experience in subtle ways, and that's a really cool thing to see on any website. But okay, here's the really cool new feature, new card filters. These things over here on the right-hand side are a new way to filter the recommendations you're getting on EDHREC. The first one, Group By, allows you to change the categories if you'd like. So instead of seeing stuff like the top card section and creatures and sorceries, etc., you can choose to view the whole page separated out by mana value, navigate to the 2 mana cards or all the 5 mana cards, whatever. It's a new way to navigate the information that was already on the page. If you're building, say, a Luris or Karuga companion deck and you need to stick to cards with specific mana values, this is such a perfect tool. Or you can sort by rarity. Say you only want to check out the mythics on that page, or the rares, or just the commons, whatever you need. If you like building pauper EDH decks, for instance, this is a really great way to sort through the noise. My personal favorite, though, is to group by price. The info gets separated out for a whole section on cards below $1, or cards up to $1, or cards that are super pricey. I mean, EDHREC already has really cool budget filters at the top of each deck page, which I highly recommend, by the way, but this is an even more granular way to find what it is that you're after, and it's a fantastic option for budget brewing. Quick note, the site will automatically use whatever your leftmost price is, which you can change in your settings if you have a different storefront that you prefer. And if you find any cards that you like, you can of course click on those prices to take you right to that storefront, and or use the clipboard feature to load up several cards at once and find all of them together at a store. The clipboard's another really neat feature, and I'll provide a link in the description below if you want to find out how that feature works in a bit more depth too. But anyway, yeah, overall what this filter means is that you don't just have to sort out your recommendations by the default categories anymore if you don't want to. This is a new way to view the information that was on the page, and a new perspective like that can help you find what you need much more easily. The next filter in the middle here, Sort By, helps you go even further than the groupings. Cards are naturally default sorted by their percentage inclusion in the eligible decks that we have in the database. That's the order that they appear in on the page. But you can also now sort them another way if you want. Instead of sorting by their popularity, you can sort the cards within each section by their raw deck count, or by mana value, or by price, or whatever. So this way you can look through the whole creature section, for example, and find just 1-drops, or just 3-drops. And then you can move to another section, like instants or enchantments, and find the cheap options there too. Or maybe instead of mana value, you'd prefer to sort by synergy score. As a reminder, synergy on EDHREC is a way that we calculate how unique those cards are to that deck. As in, these cards show up for this commander this much more than they show up for other similarly colored commanders, which may be more specific to help you find some special effects that this commander can pull off compared to its contemporaries, even if those cards are not very widely known. Or, if you want, you can sort by salt score. In each section, those salty cards will rise up to the top if you want to find some especially painful or powerful pieces, or if you'd like to try avoiding those cards if they might have a social effect attached to them that you'd prefer to avoid. And by the way, these filters can be combined to help each other out in really cool ways. So if I want to group by mana value and then sort by price, that can help me find some helpful 4-drops and then look through the most budget-friendly options therein. A little mixing and matching to help find some really neat stuff. Oh, and I haven't even mentioned the best part yet. If you regularly want to view your EDH recommendations with these filters, you can hit this lock icon and save those settings for the device you're working on. So if it's pretty common for me to sort by mana value rather than sort by percentage inclusion, as an example, I can lock that setting and it will stay sorted that way for me the next time I hop onto that same device and check out the EDHREC web pages again. It's really easy to turn off and on however I need, and it's really cool in case I pause partway through my brewing and come back later and want to pick up exactly where I left off. Alright, now that last one, the card filters on the right-hand side there. If you're familiar with Scryfall advanced searches at all, this is a little like that. And in my book, any comparison to Scryfall is a pretty big compliment. So what are these? How do they work? Well, let's say I'm on a commander's page such as General Ferrus Rockuric, but I only want to see multicolored cards because that's what the commander cares about. But I also want to add in maybe some angels because maybe I'm doing a flavorful or thematic thing for the Boros Legion in this deck. I can set those filters up, and then once I hit submit, boom. Now I'm only seeing recommendations from that page that meet those qualifications. And of course, I can still see all the classic EDHREC info, like how popular they are for that deck. And if those filters feel, it turns out, too restrictive, I can tweak those filters or add and subtract as I go. Here's one of my favorite tricks with them though. Say I want to find the least played cards for this deck. I can set the inclusion percentage to only show me, say, cards that show up in less than, let's go with 20%, so less than 1/5 of Rockuric decks, and voila! Some lesser used results if you want to find some cards that perhaps you'd like to show a little more love. And of course, I can use the other filters here again too, to for instance sort them by price instead of by the default inclusion percentage. Now again, a reminder, these filters sort through what was already on the page, so keep that in mind while you're tinkering with these. And okay, while I'm here talking about advanced filters on EDHREC, I would be remiss not to reiterate my all-time favorite feature on EDHREC, one that's been around for a while, but some people still sometimes miss it. You know how I've said that these new filters group and sort out stuff that's already on that page? Well, these aren't the only ways to filter cards, and another form of advanced filter up at the top here lets you change what's on the page. See this section here? This lets you filter out deck data that does or does not include certain cards. So you can choose to only see recommendations and data from decks that, for example, definitely use a card that you know you're using too. And you can take out data from decks that use cards that you know you have zero interest in using. This is my absolute favorite tool on EDHREC because it helps you sort out specific strategies for commanders with multiple possible build paths. If I know I'm building Atraxa as planeswalkers, and I know that I'm not going to use any poison cards, then let me use these filters to show only the cards from decks including some very planeswalker strategy specific cards, and exclude deck data from other strategies. And that will tailor the results to help me find more relevant cards for the type of game that I'm really after. This filter helps you change which things even get shown on the page in the first place, and then these new filters we've just implemented can help you sort through all the info to get a new perspective and more easily find what you like. EDHREC is all about helping people improve their deck building, so when little quality of life upgrades occur, or when we're able to provide new features that will help people find even better and more personalized recommendations for cards that they'll enjoy, that just makes my heart smile, man. Data is just data, and a whole big ton of it all at once is kind of a lot sometimes. So to us, the real heart of EDHREC lies in the tools that it can offer to help people sift and sort through all that data in ways that are more productive for them and their personal playstyles. So we hope you enjoy some of these new tools. And can I let you all in on a secret? These features are so cool, so great, but we also have this other thing cooking for the future that I have been so excited about us implementing for years. I won't spoil it, other than to say it's kind of a subtle thing. It goes over some of the stuff I've already mentioned in this video, actually, but even though it's subtle, I think it'll have a big impact. And I can also say that I've most certainly annoyed my boss about it because I've been harping on about it for several years now. And I can say that if you are curious, you can actually find more information about it over on EDHREC's Patreon. EDHREC has a Patreon if you'd like a perk such as getting an ad-free experience on EDHREC, which is the $2 a month tier, or for $5 a month you can get that feature and a whole lot more, including access to experimental features that we're still working on before they become available on the main site, and you can test those things out while we're working on them. For quick clarity, that is a separate thing from the EDHREC podcast and YouTube Patreon, which supports the show here on this channel and which has perks that are a lot more YouTube channel specific. We want to give those, distinct options so that none of it feels tangled up or confusing confusing, and that depending on which audience you're in, whether you want to support our silly YouTube shenanigans over here, or if you're looking for things such as an ad-free experience on EDHREC, you get exactly what it is that you're after. And I want to make sure it's clear that we appreciate your support across our various ventures, no matter what form that support takes. If you want to back the main site by going ad-free or trying out some new experimental features in advance, that's awesome. But if that doesn't make as much sense for you, you can also still support the site for totally free by doing things like checking out the articles on EDHREC. That is a huge way to show support for the site. And if you want to support this channel's Patreon, we'd love you forever for that, but also even little things like doing the classic like and subscribe dance has a really big impact too. EDHREC is here to assist users, and if it happens that you want to provide any assistance back, big or small, whatever makes the most sense for you, that all helps us maintain and grow this site so that we can keep helping you find the cards that will help you have the most fun. And all forms of support mean a really big deal to everyone who works here. We hope you enjoy these new features. Let me know what your favorite one is down in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, remember, EDHREC your deck before you wreck your deck.